Very good morning to all of you. The Public Affairs Foundation Chairman Dr. Sudhakar Rao sir, Dr. Ajay Kumar Singh sir, Secretary or you are the Executive Director Dr. Annapurna Ravichandar, Mr. Ravi Kante Gowda, Joint Commissioner of Police Traffic Bangalore City, Dr. George Cherian, and all the dignitaries present in this consultation meeting. Today, the transport has become a very important aspect of life. Everyone who has come here must have used a motorized vehicle, motorized transport to reach this place. But Karnataka has a population of around 6.5 crores. The number of vehicles which are registered are about 2.7 crores. But we estimate that are actually flying would be around 2 crores. That means every third person is owning a vehicle in the state, and almost everybody uses a vehicle every day. The whole population, in one way or the other, is using the motor vehicle. The annual growth rate of this vehicles is around 12 lakhs per annum. Every month we are adding 1 lakh vehicles in the state of Karnataka. But I don't think the roads are increasing at the same proportion, same rate. With that, we have a lot of issues of road safety. As Dr. Sudhakar Rao sir and Dr. George Cherian have pointed out, this Motor Vehicle Act Amendment of 2019, so basically focused on the road safety. There are a lot of other issues also, which in a way were aimed at liberalizing the field of transportation. But first of all, I would like to tell about these penalties and violations. What exactly happened? Of course, Dr. Sudhakar Rao has already mentioned about the violations and penalties. He was saying that few penalties might be on the higher side and all. Sir, there is a small information I'd like to give. This is not a model act as such. This is a central act which all states are supposed to follow. Uh, Transport is in a concurrent list. So wherever the central act and the rules are there, they override the state act and the rules. The new act was supposed to come into effect on the 1st of September 2019. As soon as the act was passed and it was brought into effect, on the 3rd of September only, Karnataka government issued a notification implementing the provisions of all these enhanced penalties. As you might be aware, of those days, all the newspapers were carrying reports in the front page only that the traffic penalties are going to be fivefold or tenfold of what it is today, and it will have a lot of implications and a lot of effects on the drivers. And promptly, the Karnataka government notified this enhanced penalties on the 3rd of September only. But I think within 15 days, there are a lot of hue and cry from the public. And for your kind information, this was one of the few states which had notified the penalties. We came to know later. I think Honorable Chief Minister in one of the meetings, I think by that time the Gujarat had given some public advertisement saying that we have reduced the penalties after the public demand. A similar demand was there in Karnataka also to reduce these enhanced penalties. So though a few sections did not give any leverage to the state governments, we reduced the penalties in a few of the provisions. So unfortunately, the penalties were reduced where the road safety was a basic issue. Like I'll just, these were the new sections introduced in the Amendment Act actually. The sections 194A, B, C, D, E, and F. The first one was carriage of excess passengers and failure to use safety belts and seating of children. I think this is one very important road safety issue. So unless if a person wears a seat belt when traveling even at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour also, there are chances of getting injured or fatalities if you meet with a crash. Actually, the Act proposes seat belts for all the passengers in a passenger vehicle. This is not just for the driver and the person sitting next to him in the front seat, but also for all the passengers who are traveling in a passenger transport vehicle. But unfortunately, what we have seen in India is none of these passenger transport vehicles could be very few, could be 1% of them are having seat belts for all the passengers. About 6 7 months back, there was an accident on the bypass of Hubli Dharwad in Karnataka, in which 15 passengers traveling in a minibus, uh, they all dead. They all died due to this accident. 15 deaths in one single accident. Would be. I was wondering if they were wearing seat belts, possibly they could have been saved. Similarly, we just now Dr. George Cherian was mentioning about an accident in which 6 youths died in Bangalore city. That was one due to the overspeeding. The another aspect was of I think none of them were wearing seat belts. Actually, the opening of the airbags is connected to the wearing of seat belts. Unless you wear the seat belt, the airbag will not function. So when this crash took place, even the airbags did not open, and all of them uh, died in that particular accident, suffered grievous injuries, and they died. The next section, that is 194C, is also very important. This says talks about the violation of safety measures for motorcycle drivers and pillion riders. That's basically wearing of helmets with the riders as well as the pillion riders. Even for this section, it is a newly introduced section. The minimum penalty prescribed is 1,000 rupees. We reduced it to 500 rupees after the public demand. Then failure to allow free passage of to emergency vehicles. This also we reduced, and use of horns and silent zones. Driving uninsured vehicle. This was also reduced by the state government from 2,000 to 1,000 and 2,000 rupees the heavy vehicles. So this way, in many provisions we reduce the penalties because there was a lot of opposition from the public as well as demand from the public that these penalties are very much on the higher side and these need to be reduced. Finally, it went to such a stage that the union government has to write letters to all the state governments. That is, it is mandatory on the part of state governments to implement this Motor Vehicle Act. And in fact, sir, the state governments have threatened of action under Article 356 of the Constitution. In spite of that, of course, we immediately wrote to the government that some sections we do not have any liberty of tinkering with these penalties. There are some sections, where it says the penalty can be up to certain amount, like up to rupees 1,000 or up to rupees 2,000. Otherwise, in other sections, it is mandatorily 1,000 rupees like. So we said, okay, wherever it is up to 1,000, we can reduce. We have the power to reduce it, fix it at a lower rate. But wherever it is mandatorily, it has to be minimum of 1,000 rupees. We have to go in for that. So we have sent a letter to the government about 8 9 months back. Still, though, no decision has been taken. I think only half a dozen states in the whole country have implemented this. That too, not with a full whatever amendments were made, they are not fully implemented. As I told you, even in Karnataka, we have not fully implemented it, we have partially implemented this. So, this being the state of affairs, of course, I also wanted to say that the impact of this enhanced penalties and what effect it has on the drivers and whether it has really contributed to the reduction of accidents and fatalities, we are not really sure because this was implemented in 2019 September. By March 2020, this COVID thing came and there are a lot of lockdowns and a lot of restriction of the movement. For almost 2 months, there was no transportation or mobility at all. Only goods transport, that too of the essential commodities, was allowed in the month of April and May last year. And gradually things were allowed to open up, and we really do not know. In fact, we also have been from the Karnataka State Road Safety Authority. We have been reviewing these accidents and deaths in the state of Karnataka almost on a regular basis, almost on a every monthly basis. There also, the Supreme Court, there is a road safety committee of Supreme Court, which monitors the activities of the road safety authorities and as well as the developments and what efforts are being made to ensure road safety. The road safety committee of Supreme Court has fixed a target of 10% reduction in the number of accidents and number of fatalities for all the states, except for the state of Karnataka, the Tamil Nadu. No other state has achieved this. In Karnataka, I should say, fortunately, the number of accidents and the fatalities have remained the same over the last 5 years, which could be 2% on the plus, 2% minus variation every year. But only in the year of 2020, we could see a huge reduction of 20%. As Mr. Cherian was saying, that is a fact that because of this lockdown and restriction on movement only, that's what I also feel, that this is not really due to any impact of the amendment or due to the efforts of all of us, the road safety authority and the various department stakeholders involved in that the accidents have come down. Rather, it is because of the pandemic. So we have to wait for the normalcy to return to really evaluate the impact of this amendments. The penalties which were 100 rupees, 200 rupees, now they are at 1000 rupees, 2000 rupees. There is a 10 times or 5 times increase in the penalties. Whether these kind of penalties have really impacted the driver's behavior and which will in turn affect the road safety, that need to be studied in detail. That's what I feel. Unless the impact analysis is done, we will not be able to say for certain that these amendments have really given the intended results. That's one aspect of this Motor Vehicle Act I wanted to just mention about. Already Dr. Sudhakar Rao as well as Dr. Cherian have spoken a lot of things about the amendments. I feel the amendments were not just focused on the road safety aspect only. Of course, another important road safety aspect which the Amendment Act focused was regarding the emergency care of the accidents, of the emergency care aspect of the road safety. When we were talking about road safety earlier, we used to talk about 3 E's: the engineering, enforcement, and education. Now we talk about the 4 E's, the fourth E being the emergency care. So unfortunately, emergency care has been neglected for years. In fact, the Tamil Nadu could see a success in reduction of number of accidents, because they focused on emergency care. A lot of trauma care centers have been established, and ambulance network has been well established there. With the ambulance can reach an accident spot within the golden hour. Within 5 or 10 minutes of accidents, the ambulances have been placed in such places that they can reach the accident spot within 5 to 10 minutes. And also, the trauma care centers are also established there. So, with the well organized ambulance network and the trauma care centers, they are able to take care of the accident victims at the requisite time within the golden hour where their lives could be saved. With that, the fatalities have come down. In fact, we also have been asked by the Road Safety Authority to study the Tamil Nadu model and implement it in the state of Karnataka. That is a team of our officers is studying what all need to be done, and we will be implementing it soon. Because the Motor Vehicle Act also has made a lot of changes in the transport sector. The definition of this aggregator was made in the amended act. The aggregators were not present during I think the previous amendments. In fact, Karnataka is the first state to formulate these aggregator rules in the year 2013 or so, when this Ola, Uber, etc., started operations in the city of Bangalore. This is when we talk about the shared mobility, because there is a confusion amongst us also what type of transportation we should be allowing. Like, on one hand, we say that we should encourage public transport. People should be made to use public transport more than the private transport and all that. And how about the shared transport, like these taxi cabs of these Ola, Ubers, and even auto rickshaws? In fact, this issue came up when we wanted to introduce bike taxis in Bangalore city. So, a set of us, including the earlier Transport Commissioner and MD of BMRCL, etc., there was a committee formed under under the chairmanship of the MD BMRCL. They all recommended that bike taxis should not be allowed in Bangalore city. The reason being, one, of course, the safety of the riders. That was raised by the police department. Like, driver of such a taxi may take this pillion rider anywhere he wants, and he may do something, he may commit some crime, etc. And safety issues, whether if the rider is reckless, if he meets with an accident, he will be putting the customer also in difficulty. So with these reasons, there was opposition, and finally the report was submitted that the bike taxis should not be allowed in Bangalore city. But in the last year's budget, the Honorable Chief Minister, he himself was the Finance Minister, he announced that electric bike taxis will be allowed in Karnataka state. And about 2-3 months back only, we have launched the e-bike taxi policy in the state of Karnataka. So with this, the shared mobility need to be encouraged. We have to use the shared mobility in order to see that the roads are not congested beyond a limit. When that is a point, of course, I would also like to mention a recent development. In fact, there is a system of restricting the number of auto rickshaws in the cities. Not only in Bangalore, in almost all cities in the state. In Bangalore city, we have a cap of 1.25 lakh autos. The number of auto rickshaws cannot exceed 1,25,000. But recently, the central government, under section 66(3) of the Motor Vehicle Act, brought a notification in order to encourage these alternate fuels like methane, ethane, and the the battery operated vehicles. They have exempted the requirement of permits for these electric vehicles and other vehicles run on methane and ethane. So this, we also have implemented that. We have said electric vehicles do not need any permits. So yesterday only one of the MLAs had raised an issue in the assembly, saying that in the city of Mangalore, a few electric battery operated auto rickshaws are plying without permit. They should be brought under this permit purview. They should be brought under the control of the RTAs. But we couldn't. When he was coming out of the assembly, I just asked him. I told him, sir, this is required as per the central government notification. He was not in agreement with us at all. He says, no, we had to have some control. How can they go like that? I said, there are only there are 7,000 rickshaws in the city of Mangalore. These are only 100. This is just the beginning. Unless we give, unless we encourage them, give some shops, they will not be going in for these battery operated vehicles. But he was not agreeing it to this point at all. He said, no, no, that will be put these 7,000 drivers into difficult situation. They will be suffering. They will be put to loss, etc., etc. He said, no, all these battery operated vehicles also should be brought under the control of the RTOs and the RTS, etc. So I was really surprised that when we want to liberalize, there are people who are opposed to this. They want things to be brought under the control of the government agencies. Another interesting thing is about 15-20 days back, a group of truck owners, association of truck owners, they approached us. They were asking us to fix the fares for these goods vehicles. Now, as in Karnataka, now the Karnataka in Karnataka, we do not have fare fixed for these goods vehicles. The fares are fixed only for the passenger vehicles, that too for the stage carriage buses, etc., not for the goods vehicles. We have never thought of fixing any fares for the goods vehicles, but they were insisting that you please fix it. I said, why are you giving your hands to us to tie your hands? You are at liberty now. The market forces will take care. The fares will be fixed by you people only. Whenever the diesel prices go up, you can fix your fares. Now already these passenger vehicles, the stage carriage bus operators, they approach us for increasing the fares. Every 6 months they come to us and say, so the fares was fixed about 2 years back. Now the diesel prices have gone up. Please refix it, hike it, and all that. So I asked them, why do you want to give the same, put yourself in the same situation? Could be every 6 months you may have to come to my office asking for a fare revision. Even then, they were not agreeing. They kept on they insisted on us to fix the fares. So these are some of the issues which we face in the reality of the ground level. Even if you want to liberalize the sector, there is a demand from the operators sometimes, some from other who are established in the field sometime, to again bring back this permit license Raj. They would like to be regulated. They would like to be controlled by the government than to be independent. In fact, the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act has introduced a section in section 67 where the liberty is given to the central government as well as the state government for exempting the requirement of permits for certain categories of vehicles, transport vehicles. All these aspects need to be looked into in detail. How, rather than I would say, It is enforcement challenges. It is the implementation challenge of this Motor Vehicles Amendment Act. Uh, Still, a lot of things need to be done at the government level also. Though the act has been enacted, the one of the important aspects of motor vehicle accident fund, that also has not been established till now. It is almost 2 years. That was one of the very important requirement for the accident victims. In the case of hit and run cases, the solatium should have been given by the central government. For that purpose, this accident fund should have been established. Some steps are being taken, but it has not materialized yet. It is very heartening to know that Public Affairs Foundation has taken the lead in organizing this consultation meeting. All eminent personalities are here, experts in the field are here. Hope you will all deliberate in detail about the amendments made and their impact, and what all needs to be done by the government also need to be elaborated, discussed, and you may please suggest us what needs to be done to really implement this amended act. I'm very grateful to the Public Affairs Foundation for inviting me and giving me this opportunity of being with you this morning. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was very interesting, especially some of the key points that you brought about is going to be discussed in the technical session. So may I now request we'll take a 10 minutes break and then come back and start the technical session. Starting with Madhu will be making a presentation. Then I'll be handing over the floor to Dr. Ajay Singh, who will take it forward to invite all the panelists. Thank you so much. Plus, I would request all of you all to come to the lawn for a group photograph, if you all can. Thank you.